I was working as a sports columnist for the Democrat Chronicle, and I had heard about this. I always looked for stories off the beaten path. I had a column that was called More Than a Game, and I had come across this, someone had suggested this idea about there was this guy who was playing for the Red Wings who had this fervent interest in becoming a firefighter. So I go, really? And so they told me that this gentleman's name was Ray Palacios. So I went up to Silver Stadium, and I can still remember this as if it was yesterday. We were sitting in the first base home team dugout. It was a sunny day, early in the season, and it was during batting practice. And I was interviewing Ray in the dugout, and a siren went off, and Ray goes, "There's my boys." And you know, and we obviously talked very extensively about his background and his love and desire and dream of becoming a firefighter, and that was the first time that I met him. And it was kind of, you know, like we reporters, like when you're telling a story or you're out interviewing somebody, you're always looking for like some divine intervention to find a lead, a hook to get into a story. And of course, Ray provided me with that when the sirens went off and stuff, because we were there, batting practice is going on, and you're hearing the crack of the bat and so forth, and then the siren goes off. So I got both of his worlds converging, his present and his future at that point. As I mentioned, Ray is in his 23rd year as a Rochester firefighter, and he also fulfilled his dream of becoming a Major League Baseball player. He played parts of 3 seasons with the Kansas City Royals, had some great stories, as you're going to hear, and had some great moments as well. And so without further ado, I'd like to welcome here to the, not a podium, but a seat, former Rochester Red Wing and current Rochester Fire Department firefighter, Ray Palacios. Now, we don't, you know, here we are, we're the Rochester Baseball Historical Society, and we don't have a Red Wings hat here, but we do have a Kansas City hat in honor of Priscilla Astafan, who is like the world's biggest Kansas City Royals fan here. So, anyways, Ray, again, I talked about you had 2 dreams, childhood dreams come true, which is pretty remarkable. I mean, a lot of us grew up, you know, I dreamed of being a Major League Baseball player. I made it to high school. And, you know, we dreamed about, a bunch of us early on, you dream about being a firefighter. But you, I mean, it came true. Let's start with the firefighting part of this. Like, you grow up in the Red Hook neighborhood district of Brooklyn, southern tip of Brooklyn and stuff.
Yes.
And you had some relatives who were firefighters as well. When did this start, this fascination?
It started about 8 years old when I was a little boy. I had 3 uncles on the fire department, and we all worked in busy companies. But I was just fascinated as a kid because I used to watch them and see them on the news, and I would say, I'm going to be just like my uncles one day.
Now, you told me that, I mean, you would run outside your house, right, when you heard the sirens go, just to see the trucks go by?
Yeah, I used to run to my window because they were always going by in my neighborhood, so I would love to see the trucks go down. And as a little boy, I would just run out there and just watch them go by. I'm like, one day I'm going to be on that truck.
What did your uncles say when, you know, you were picking their brains and stuff about firefighting? What were some of the things they were telling you?
Well, they would tell me about the job. Probably when I got around 10, 12 years old, they were starting to explain the job to me, how it is to be a fireman, what it takes to be a fireman, and the dangers of the job.
Yeah, because I mean, we're talking about it being romantic, but there's a part that goes well beyond that.
Yes, it does.
Yeah. So when you're young, you also purchased a scanner just so you could hear like the calls?
I was 12 years old when I got my first scanner, because I always wanted to listen to my uncles when they were going to fires, and of course, you know, make sure they were okay. And I would have that radio. My parents would say, "Shut that thing off, it's late at night." And the fire trucks be going by my house, I run to the radio, turn it on. So it's a good memory.
So I mean, you saved your money to buy a scanner? I mean, other kids are buying toys or whatever.
Yeah, that's exactly what I did. I used to go out and shovel snow, make money, and I bought my scanner.
So you, at the farthest southern tip of Brooklyn, there's I think Ladder 101?
Yes.
And so tell me about that. You guys would ride your bikes down and spend time, because there's a lot of downtime as a firefighter,
Yes.
waiting for something to happen.
Yep.
And you go and you talk to these guys, right? And you get to know these guys.
Well, when I went down to the firehouse, because it's the local firehouse, I used to ride my bike down there. I was probably 8 years old, and they were like, "Who's this kid?" Because they always accepted kids in the firehouse. But then I started realizing I was hanging around more and more and more. And then one of the guys here who did 40 years, his name was Tony Catapano, he was great friends with my uncle. So when I told him my name and what my uncle was, he goes, "Oh," so I was kind of a little more accepted to come in even a little deeper into the firehouse, because you weren't allowed past the water fountain. So they wouldn't, because the back of the firehouse, the kitchen and everything. Once they found out who my uncle was, then they started opening the door to me, and then I was able to get in there and start learning the job, and as an 8-year-old kid. And they had me polishing the brass, washing the fire trucks. Yeah, it was cool.
And I assume there were some times like you saw up close and personal, like when that alarm went off, and those guys come into action. Talk a little bit about seeing that rush at the first time.
Well, that was an exciting thing. I couldn't ride the trucks, so when they would leave, I would get on my bike and go to where the fire was, so I could just stand there and watch them and do whatever I could, pull some holes or do something. My wife was laughing because I used to jump on my bike at 8 years old. I used to just fly down and they'd be gone. I knew where the fire was because it's my neighborhood. And I would get there and they're like, "How'd you?" "I came on my bike. I got my bike propped up against the fire truck," and I'm helping them do things.
So then you, in high school, you become an auxiliary firefighter. There's a program
Yes.
in all cities, but New York City at the time where you were. Talk a little bit about that program, because it's becoming real.
Yes. Being around the firehouse and going there and doing training with the guys. Now I'm about 15 years old, so I joined this auxiliary fireman's program, which was like the civil defense. So you can't ride until you're about 17 years old, but you have to go through the program. So we actually do everything like a real firefighter. You have to go to the academy, they have to train you how to use all the stuff and the equipment. So I get through the program, come back to my files, I'm accepted in there, and now I'm able to start riding. So in the beginning, I would, just go on fires and stuff, and then little by little, I start getting to go inside these fires with the guys. And that's where the rush really started coming.
Well, explain to this, because most of us can't understand that. Like, we are conditioned to run away from fire, to run out of buildings that are on fire, and there's something about firemen that, you go into fire. Tell us about that.
Well, it's not, first of all, the job is not for everybody. That's the first thing I gotta say. This is something that I always wanted to do. I never feared anything, even though, we are afraid. Don't think that firemen are steel. We are afraid. Every fire I go to, my blood is pumping and I'm praying, because I know it could be my last time, but still, we have a job to do and we go do it. But, being a fireman, you gotta think of a lot of things. You gotta think about, your safety, your health, going through these fires. I can remember when right here in Rochester, we had a fire on Grover Street, and it was a bad fire. And we I never tell her that, but we almost got cooked. I got the guy out, we pulled the guy out, we made a rescue, but the guy only lived like probably 2 or 3 hours after that. But it's a dangerous job. That's one thing my uncle always told me. He says, "You know what, make sure you got all your training, keep your wits." But the auxiliary, going back to the auxiliary fireman's program, that's the best thing that happened to me, because that helped me also, part of growing up in Brooklyn, the neighborhood I grew up in, also helped me stay away from the streets. So it was another outlet for a young kid, Not that my family wasn't there for me, but you know how it is when you're growing up and you're out in the streets. So, but that was my thing. So the auxiliary fireman's program was great.
You, and we talked about this, but I want you to talk a little bit further. This is the first time you saved a life, was when you were an auxiliary firefighter, and it was like, it was a situation that you just got dumped into, kind of. Tell us about
Was that the one with the coach?
The coach, yeah.
I was ready. I already had about, I want to say about 10 fires under my belt, and I'm coming home from practice, and I didn't have
high school baseball practice. John Jay High School in Brooklyn.
Yep. So I'm coming home from high school, so my coach is going to give me a ride home, so we go to his neighborhood first because he had to drop a couple of kids off. So when we get to his house, I look at the middle of the block, and I'm seeing all these people like there's something going on over there. So I'm like, I'm looking down and he's dropping the kids off. I said, Coach, I think there's a fire over there. So I said, I'm gonna go check this out real quick. So next thing you know, I get down there and the people are screaming. What happened was there was a baby on the second floor. So I just did what it just hit me. I just did it. I ran up the stairs, and as I got up the stairs, those were brownstone houses. So a lot of brownstone houses have their stoves on the second floor. So I get up the stairs, I can see the kitchen on fire. I go around the banister, I check the first room, there's no baby in there. Go down the hallway, go to the second room, there's the baby. So now I'm gonna come back out down that hallway, and when I got halfway, I couldn't make it. So the fire already came out to the hallway, so I was pretty much stuck. So I ran back to the room, closed the door. Always close the door if you have a fire. The fire was spread real quick. So I closed the door, and I took the window out, and at that time I could hear the guys coming. So I jumped onto the porch, and it became a big, big news thing. Meanwhile, I'm so pumped up that I'm just, all right, we did this.
Right.
And
Right. You get back to the firehouse, and these guys are like, attaboy, right? You're getting a lot of those.
Yeah, when they came out and said, I didn't want to tell the guys from my firehouse where I grew up in, so all of a sudden it comes out in the Daily News. So they got it all up in the firehouse, and I come walking in, they're like, why didn't you tell us you did this? You're no good, So I can't get into the specifics of it, but you know how the firehouse is, right? So they're just going off on me, And I was like, they go, how'd you do it? I said, well, the training you guys got me here and the things we've done, nice. I just thought about it and just did it.
Nice.
And thank God, everything worked out fine.
So on the baseball side of it, there's not a ton of players that come out of New York City.
Right.
You've got a lot going against you. There's not areas to play. The weather works against you, all those sorts of things. But you were a good ball player right from the start. When did you start knowing that Major League scouts were paying attention to this catcher from John Jay High School?
It's got to be when I was about 15, 16 years old. I never played organized baseball before that. My brother-in-law, his friend had his brother playing in this organized. So I just went and started at 12. By the time I was 15, the scouts were already after me. And it just started one after another. Detroit came. They gave me their card, signed me up, said, listen, we're looking at you, and we're going to come and watch you. Next thing you know, I'm traveling the travel league, and they're calling the scouts up in the other state, watch this kid. And it just keeps expanding from there. And that's how it works.
How much did you sign for? Do you remember?
$1,000.
$1,000, that was your signing bonus.
Well, wait, I was getting absolutely zero. I called them back and said, if you want me, you gotta at least give me $1,000 to get out of Brooklyn, I told them.
Did they at least give you a ticket or an airline
Yeah,
ticket?
they take care of you flight-wise and everything, but they gave me the $1,000.
That's good.
And then I went to spring training.
So where did you play your first year in the minor leagues?
I was in the Appalachian League, Rookie League.
Okay.
A
lot of bus traveling there, huh?
Yeah, we would travel school bus in that league. Oh my God. And the travels were like 10, 12-hour bus rides. And, and our meal money was $8 a day. That's all they gave us to eat.
A lot of McDonald's, huh?
Yeah, oh yeah. So I started on the Appalachian League in 1983. That was Rookie League. And my manager was Boots Day. He played center field for the Tigers.
Boots Day has upstate New York connections. He's from Ilion, New York, just on the other side of Utica.
Wow.
Yeah, he's got some upstate connections.
So then I went from Rookie League. The following year I went to A-Ball, which is the Florida State League. And there things started expanding because I was a free agent. I actually made it to the big leagues the hardest way you possibly can. I'm not here to toot my horn, but all the draft picks and all the money they give some of these guys, they get a little more privileged because they got money invested in them.
Right.
But when I was playing there, I knew that these guys were coming, but I was like, I ain't going home. Mm-hmm. So, and it actually, I beat a lot of guys throughout my career. A-Ball's Florida State League. Then I went to Double-A, which was Glens Falls League. And each year, I was like the MVP catcher every year, all the way through. But when I got to Double-A, that's when they signed a couple of big guys. They gave me money from like Brigham Young University and other catching and all that. So they said to me, listen, you're gonna go back to A-Ball so you can play every day. We want to see what this guy can do. So they gave him his shot. It didn't work. I go to AA, and then from there, 40-man roster, and then, then teams will want to trade for me to go to big leagues, Cleveland, the Mets, Toronto. So all these other teams are looking for me. And then AAA came, and I was MVP catcher there, which opened the door even more.
And then you get traded from the Tigers organization.
I got called up.
Okay.
I got called, my wife, right, we're at the game, I'm catching the game, and Pat Corral is my manager. So the 7th inning, I had 2 home runs, as a matter of fact, I was having a good game. He says, Palacios, you're out of the game. I go, what did I do now? I was so mad. He's like, just relax. I says, well, what's going on? He said, we'll talk later. So I'm telling the other players, what is going on? They don't know. Well, lo and behold, the fans are yelling, you got called up, you're gonna be traded at the same time. Like, what? Sparky didn't like me, by the way. So I go up there thinking that I'm gonna stay there. Then next thing you know, they give me a plane ticket and say, listen, you just got traded to Kansas City for Ted Powers. So then I had to leave my wife and kids behind, get on a plane at midnight and go all the way to Minnesota.
Wow.
Yeah, it's like that, you gotta go.
So you're in the big leagues.
Yeah.
And tell us what that's like. You show up in Minnesota, and you go into that locker room, and you're going to see a uniform with your name on the back, right?
It was pretty exciting. I just couldn't wait to get it because I was in big league camp from my rookie year of pro ball. The GM loved me so much that he wanted me to be in big league camp, so I couldn't wait to get there. When I got there, and I see my roommate from Puerto Rico, Lou Alquino, he's on the team, the pitcher. And he's like, yo, Roomie, you made it. I said, yo, I'm here. And all these people are yelling, I didn't care about the fans. I was so excited, I just couldn't wait. I got my uniform, my name, my lockers in there. So, George Brett was the first guy to come over and said, hey, congratulations, welcome over to the world. I said, hey, thanks, Lou. And then Bo Jackson come over and said, welcome aboard. So I just couldn't wait to get on the field. Now, there's 4 catchers on that team. I'm a catcher. So I went straight to the big leagues. They know that they don't have a job because they ain't trading for me for them to stay around. So they knew they had a problem. So they wouldn't come and talk to me. So, and I understand that. That's just the way the game is, But, I got to Minnesota. It was beautiful, playing against Kirby Puckett, Ken Herbeck, and those guys. And it was a good time. I was waiting for my turn to get in the game, so I didn't get in the game that first day. But it was very exciting just to be there that day, see a uniform and with everybody else. Everything's professional.
How long was it before you got into a game?
It was the 3rd game. It was we finished that series, and we went to Oakland, and we were playing against the Bash Boys, and they put me in the game. I pitch ran for Bob Boone. They put me in the game, and then I'm not Bob Boone, Ed Hearn, the catcher. Then I got my first base hit, and went straight through. Wow. Almost took his head off.
Yeah.
I struck out my first. I was pretty nervous the first time, but the second time they go like this, hey, just do your thing. Okay, and it worked out.
You still have that ball?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Yes.
Okay. Sure.
Yeah.
Ed Herman was, if my recollection, he was one of the slowest human beings ever, and you were one of the fastest catchers. You could run.
Yes.
You could run.
Yeah, I guess for a catcher at that time when I was playing, they were just like saying like, this is unbelievable. We have a catcher that can steal bases. So I was pretty much a threat, not only when I was on base, so even if I pitch ran.
Now, you joined a really talented team, and you alluded to some of the guys I want you to talk a little bit further about. George Brett, what was George Brett like?
George Brett was a cool dude. Everybody knows him as George Brett, but it's real. If you ever run into George Brett, if you say, hey, Lou, he'll turn around like that. That's his nickname. And he loves that because he loves the Looney Tunes. So under his uniform, there's got to be about 100 shirts with all the different Looney Tunes cartoons underneath. And that's what he puts on.
Porky Pig and all.
Yeah, he's got them all. Porky Pig, Bugs Bunny, the Road Runner, he's got every one of them. So he puts it on, batting practice, he changes it, puts another one, he's got Porky Pig on. So I thought that was pretty cool. His nickname was Lou.
Talk a little bit about him as a player. I mean, he's one of the greatest hitters of all time, but watching him, could you tell, like, what was it about him?
Well, I just like his approach to the game when I used to watch him, because when you get to that level, everybody has their own game, but you also want to watch some of the other guys that have been around so you can pick a couple of things just to better yourself, not to change yourself. And I always watched George, and George always took batting practice the same way. He always hit left field first, up the middle, right field, finish off driving the ball wherever it's pitched. And I picked that up from him. And on the field, he was phenomenal. Always talked about the game. We were always sitting in the dugout, always talking about, you know, the mental aspect of the game, you know, what you should be looking for, watch the other team. Like when we were playing Baltimore one time, and I was actually, talking about cheating, I was actually getting the pitches from Cal Ripken Jr. And he didn't know it.
Really?
Yeah.
So you stole his signs, but you did it legally,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, we did it legally. So because what happened was Cal, he would give the outfielders a sign. So he put his hand behind his back. If he closed his fist, it's a fastball. If he opened his hand, it was off speed. So I was on the base, and I'm like, and I look at the outfield, I see him move, I go, so I don't see it. I go in the dugout, yo, that's when Bo hit the 3-run homer from Ben McDonald, because he knew it was coming. So we see the sign, and we told the guys about it. But that was like things like that. George was always on top of the game, you know, the mental aspect of the game. He did a wonderful job with that. Also with the coaching staff, he always said, Ray, don't be afraid to use your coaches. Because when you're at that level, the coaches don't approach you like the minor leagues. They always approach you to get you to do your work. At that level, you have to do everything on your own. And that was another thing. He was always, boom, boom, working, just doing this thing every day. We would do extra work, all of us will. And George was, like I said, a great man.
You also were teammates with Bo Jackson, and this was back during the time when, you know, we had the big campaign, the Nike campaign. Bo knows everything, right? The great commercials, and he was playing both sports. He was playing with the Raiders and playing with Kansas City. And you were there. People maybe remember when Bo climbed the wall and made that incredible catch, like he put a divot in there. You were there for that game, right?
Yeah, that was incredible. We're like, he's not gonna get this ball. And he's just booking. He just turned around and bolts. Like, this guy can fly. I see him bowl and I go, oh, he's gonna crash into the wall. He jumps up, all in one motion, catches it, and then runs across the wall. Like, you're like, you gotta be kidding me. So he comes back because he had a stuttering problem. I used to break his stones about that, right? So he comes in and he goes, what do you think about that, Rican? I go, damn, bro, there they go.
There they go.
So Bo's like, I can get anything. I'm incredible, he says, and we just started laughing about it. It was really good.
He was, I mean, he was just a freakish athlete. Like, how strong was he?
He was very strong. We used to, you know, because we all work out, and, you know, downstairs, in the clubhouse, they have these big gyms down there. And we used to all work out together, and you know, and I used to see him, and he's like, I said, bro, you know we're playing baseball, right? Not football. He goes, I gotta keep my body ready for football, because from here I go to football, he says. And he was lifting some serious weight, man. He was chiseled.
Now you also told me, Ray, that you guys tried to talk Bo out of playing football. Like, hey, like let the Royals buy out your contract with the Raiders, right?
Yeah, his lot was right across from mine, so we always just throw things and laugh. And I told him and Willie Wilson and I went up to him and said, Bo, let them buy you out. You're going to be a phenomenal baseball player. You're going to make your money. Let them buy you out. He tells me, Regan, I love my football. And I give it to him. You know, he loved it. And it wasn't with Bo. It wasn't about that I'm a two-sport guy. Look at me. Look who I am. He didn't care about the two sports. He loved football. That was it. And that year, the season was over. We told him, take the buyout and stuff. And he's like, no, I gotta play. And he got hit that year.
The hip.
That was it.
Yeah, it's never the same. And it's interesting. I saw an interview with him not that long ago, and he said if he could do it all over again, he would have played baseball.
Yeah.
Just think of the numbers he could have put on.
Oh my God,
That,
he was
that power and
ridiculous.
speed. Yeah. Who were some catchers that you really admired through the years, like people that you watch play behind the plate?
One guy is Lance Parrish. When I was with Detroit, he really loved the way I caught, the way I could throw, and he gave me some pointers and taught me a few things. Also, Bill Freehan, he was a MVP. He was a Hall of Fame, I think. With
No,
Detroit.
Hall of Fame, but he was
with
all-star.
Detroit when they won it, right?
Yes.
So he also helped me a lot. And Tony Pena, excellent catcher. Benito Santiago, these guys are all great defensive catchers. Sandy Alomar Jr., And Ivan Rodriguez, matter of fact, I just talked to Ivan Rodriguez the other day.
Really?
They were doing a clinic in Curacao Island. Yeah, a really good friend of mine. And that's about it.
You had some incredible moments in the big leagues, and one of them is a homecoming. You grow up in New York. The kid from Brooklyn comes back to Yankee Stadium, and tell us about that. Phil Rizzuto and George Steinbrenner. Tell us that story.
Anytime you play the Yankees, like Phil Rizzuto's from Brooklyn, so I played actually Sandlot Ball where Phil Rizzuto played and Joe Pepitone. It's called the Parade Grounds in Brooklyn. And every time even on the road, they always look at the roster, the team roster. And anybody's from Brooklyn, he'll come down and do an interview with you because he wants to know who you are and everything. So I go into Yankee Stadium. I didn't think none of it. We're doing that extra work. There's nobody there. It's probably 2:30 in the afternoon. Here comes Phil Rizzuto. He comes downstairs. Hey, kid. He said, holy cow, guy. You're right. Hey, kid. I go, hey, how you doing, Mr. Rizzuto? He goes, hey, I'm good. Could I talk to you for a minute? He goes, what part of Brooklyn you from? And then I'm telling him everything. He goes, oh yeah, Red Hook. That's not a good neighborhood. He goes, I know, tell me about it. I got a lot of scars to prove it, I told him. And the interview went well, and it was great. And then George Steinbrenner. George is another one. He loved people from New York City, and that's how I got to meet George Steinbrenner. And George always came down on the field. But George does the same thing that Phil does. He'll look up the roster and see who's from Brooklyn, or from anybody from New York, so he can go and introduce himself to him to let him know that from the Yankee organization.
Now, you also got hit up pretty good for tickets. Like there had to be like 700-800 people, you said, between.
Yeah, I remember that day. I had we counted almost 800 tickets. I had all the players' tickets, and I bought all the extra tickets that I needed. So I had tickets for cops, firemen. They even bought the fire trucks from Brooklyn over out to the Bronx. They had an inspection. This is no lie. So I left the tickets at the firehouse. I'm just thinking the guys are gonna come there off duty. I see the rigs outside. I go, how'd you guys get all the way over here? He goes, we told we had a special inspection. They let us come out. So I had the firemen, the cops there. I had my high school team, a lot of high school friends, the people from my neighborhood, the college team, the whole college team was there. Then our families were there. So before you know it was like 800 tickets I had to give out. But it was cool.
And the game was even cooler, wasn't it? Tell us about that game.
That was good because when they announced my name, it's like all these people are yelling. You know how New Yorkers are. We're all crazy, right? So we're in Yankee Stadium, and they're all yelling, and they're like, what's going on over here? Like the Yankee fans, right? So I wound up hitting a 3-run homer in that game, and the place went berserk.
And they even, like, they don't do this for opposing players, but because you were a New Yorker.
Yeah, that's the thing. It was pretty cool. I thought, because Phil Rizzuto knew I was from Brooklyn, he just put on the bottom of the board the Brooklyn kid.
And the fans actually, the Bronx fans cheered.
They cheered. They gave me a standing ovation because I was from Brooklyn.
It's very unusual in the Bronx.
It is, but it was pretty cool.
So you go 2 for 3, and you lose the game. So fans are happy. The hometown boy did good, but the hometown team won, that sort of thing. And then afterwards, like, you're just mobbed, right?
Yeah, when I got out of the game, I tried to get hold of my wife, because she already knows this was going to take a while before we get back to Brooklyn. Because I didn't go to a hotel. I was staying with the family. So I got everybody there, the high school, the firemen, they're blowing the sirens in front of the Yankee Stadium. So I'm signing all kind of stuff and giving away, baseballs and stuff to a lot of kids that came, it was a good time.
So a little bit later, a few years later, you suffer an arm injury, your throwing arm, and you always had a gun and stuff, so you got to have surgery and rehab it, and you wind up getting released, and then you get picked up by the Baltimore Orioles, and here comes the Rochester connection. So you tell me in '93 you had a very good spring training with the O's, and you're thinking like, all right, they're going to send them down, and then just like, keep your cool, and you be called back up, and that doesn't happen. You get only one at bat here with the Wings, and then you get released.
Yeah, I had a teammate. I did really well. Johnny Oates went and called me and said, I need a backup catcher.
He was managing the O's at the time.
And I said, yeah. I'll take the job. He says, do your physical, you pass it, I do all that, get through all that. Had an awesome spring. So we're getting ready to go to opening day, and right before that, I got hurt playing a game. I threw a ball and I felt something pop, and I go in the office, they take me to training, and they're like, well, you might have to go to rehab to get this thing back to par. So they sent me down here to Rochester, and I thought that I was just gonna be here for a couple of weeks or whatever, and long and behold, at that time, baseball players were considered old too. Like 31, 32 was considered old back when I was playing in the late 80s. And they said to me, well, Ray, we're not gonna call you back up. But I found out it wasn't Johnny Oates, it was upper management. So he called me himself to tell me, he apologized, to tell me, because he said I would be back, and it didn't work out, so, I got my one at bat with the Red Wings.
But one career ends and another starts. Now, I know you did get a chance to go to camp with the Marlins.
Yes.
During the strike year, because they were putting together teams. They were intent, they were gonna play with teams and stuff, and you were in great shape, and this was like 95, I wanna say?
95.
Yeah.
Yes.
But that doesn't work out, and now it's time to okay, I'm gonna go pursue my full-fledged, my second dream here. And you can't go back to New York because they had a policy at the time, the NYFD had a policy where you couldn't start after the age of 29.
Correct.
So, you had established some fond ties here in Rochester, and you decided to give it a shot here, huh?
Yeah, in '93 when I got sent down to Rochester, another thing I used to do, even when I was in the big leagues, I would visit a firehouse every state I went into. So when I came here, I went down to headquarters right here on Andrew Street, and I went and visited the guys, and I made some friends, and I told them, I said, well, if this doesn't work out, I'm probably going to want to take the job here. So they told me where to go sign up for everything and take the test, and that's what I did. I took the test, and I had to wait 4 years because it takes time sometimes to get on the job, be away for openings. But at the other time, I was doing other side jobs before that.
And I remember, Ray, after 9/11, I did a column with you because there was a connection there. Those guys from Ladder 101 were the first on the scene during 9/11 at the World Trade Center, and you lost friends there, and you went to the chief here and this was common in a lot of firehouses throughout the country. Like, I want to go help out.
Right.
Tell us about that. This all happened. September 11, 2001.
Yeah, I have a roofing business on the side, and I'm doing a roof job at a fireman's house. And I think I was probably 3 stories up on a ladder. And I looked down, and this lady comes screaming out of her house across the street, like she's banging on the neighbor's door. So I'm saying, oh, maybe the house is on fire. I get a little excited. So I look down. I don't mean it bad, but I look down, and I'm like, I don't see no smoke, I don't see anything. She's banging, and I hear her say we're being attacked. I thought she was a little whack. So I said, let me go down the ladder and find out what's going on. So I go down the ladder, I go into the house, I turn the TV on, and I see the Trade Center's on fire. And I didn't know that a plane had hit it, so I'm just looking at the fire. So I said, I get excited because we like going to fires. So I said, oh, I know my company's gonna be there from Brooklyn because it's right over the bridge. So then I see the plane hit it. But that's actually the second plane hitting the other tower. I thought it was a repeat. They rewinded it. I'm like, oh man, a plane just, oh my God, this is something. So I said, I gotta get out of here. So because I have family that works in that building. My brother was supposed to be on the 80th floor, and his boss told him to go to a different job, so he didn't have to go on the 80th floor. And the first plane hit the 80th floor. Oh. So my oldest brother, he was dropping cement off. He drives a cement truck. He almost got hit by the landing gear from the plane, but he saw it over his head coming because it's very loud. Because everything's so small and narrow. But when he could read the numbers and he knew that the plane shouldn't be flying over Manhattan, he knew something was wrong. So my sister calls me screaming, hysterical. I can't find my daughter. I can't find this. I said, listen, sis, being a farmer, you gotta take it easy. I'll be there in about 5.5 hours. So I said, all the towers are down, there's no cell phone, so that's probably why you can't get in or anything. So I was telling Anthony to try to calm her down. So I said, I'll be there in 5.5 hours. So I ran straight to the chief's office, and it was Chief Madison. I said, Chief, I have to go. We can't find some of my family members. And he says, listen, just go, do what you gotta do, and we'll talk about your vacation time, we'll use that, or whatever. So I packed my Harley, put my bunk again on my Harley, and said bye to my wife, and boom, I took off. And I got there in 5.5 hours. And on my way down there, I'm in Jersey by 287. And I said, man, there's a car fire around here somewhere. That's a ways out.
Yeah.
That's about an hour and a half out on 287. So I'm saying, man, there's a car fire. And that was that's actually the burnt bodies that we were smelling, riding all the way in. So I get down there, I get to the firehouse. I didn't even go to my mom and dad or anybody. I just went straight to the firehouse. And we just started crying. I looked, we got one fire truck. And it's one of the old wooden roof on it. It's not even the regular fire truck. So it's like a fire truck they used to use in the 70s. So as we're there, we're all trying to console one another, and all of a sudden a warehouse fire comes in. So I jump on we had to go in station wagons and SUVs because we didn't have enough room for the firemen. And then we had to hope that the other company had at least one engine because we had a truck, there's no water. And they had bought the engine, so we went, put that out. Then from there, went back to the firehouse, and then from there we went to 9/11. And that was a horror.
You spent 2 weeks there, in a rescue mission that turned into just something else at that point. And I know that was quite difficult, and you had to come to grips with that afterwards and stuff.
Yeah, I had to come to grips with it. It took me about 2 or 3 years. I had a lot of anger. I had my Brooklyn attitude in the firehouse, and they didn't like that. And I was having a hard time because I lost my best friend down there, and I lost a lot of other friends. But it was just getting to me. Not what I saw and what I did as a job down there. I dealt with that. My anger was what was getting to me. So I had to actually go get some help, and I'm fine after 2 or 3 years, and everything turned out good.
Now you, I heard you played some softball for a while and stuff like that. But one of my sources told me that, hey, he's a pretty good rec league goalie, hockey goalie and stuff. So and I remember when I was interviewing at your house, you had the big hockey equipment bag there. I didn't realize you were a goalie, but so that's how Ray Palacios takes care of his athletic appetite these days, right?
Yeah, matter of fact, I have the goalies in my truck right now. We play in the league tomorrow morning. That's a funny story because I always loved hockey when I was a kid. You're into sports, you like any sport, So, and I try to do any sport I do it to my best. So I'm skating out with the guys. I'm the only Spanish guy in the whole hockey rink, right? And they go, can you skate? There's no skates in Puerto Rico, there's no ice over there, it's always hot. So it starts out like that. The next thing you know, I'm playing forward and they don't have a goalie and nobody wants to play because nobody wants to get with the puck. So I said, I see the guy with the glove and I said, I'll do it. And I've been doing it for 18 years.
Just like catchers, right? You're the last line of defense.
Yeah. It's awesome.
Well, Ray, we've got a bunch of questions here, so we're going to go with some rapid fire here from the audience here.
Sure.
Who is the most challenging pitcher you ever faced?
I gotta say, Roger Clemens.
Okay, what was it about Clemens besides he could throw the ball awfully hard?
He was tough. His ball moved well. He had great command of his pitches, and a guy that throws 97, then he throws a split finger fastball, which looks like a fastball, and it can make you look very foolish. He was probably one of my toughest guys I've ever faced.
Did you ever face Nolan Ryan?
Yes, I walked. Thank God. I walked in Texas. He was throwing like 99. Ball 4. Woo! I said, I fouled off 2 pitches. I was happy about that. Oh.
That's great. What was your bigger rush? First big league at bat or first call to a fire?
Oh, wow, that's a tough one. That's a tough one. I want to say my first big league at bat. I said to myself, I won't be nervous, and sure enough, I was nervous. And I didn't care about the 50,000 people that were yelling. That didn't bother me. I was just so excited inside. And I said to myself, as I'm walking up to the plate, I said, "You finally made it. You're going to get your first at bat in the big leagues." And I was shaking. But I went down swinging.
You didn't take a call, right?
No.
Did you ever learn anything from your baseball career that helped you in your firefighting career?
Teamwork.
Yeah.
Teamwork.
No
You know, there was like, teamwork between the fire department, there is a lot of teamwork, but sometimes you're in a situation as a fireman that, like when I pulled out the guy out, I happened to be there at the right time, right moment, and I was able to grab the guy. The other guy pulled him, but he was exhausted, and there was nobody else available because we happened to be out on another call when the fire came. We were around the corner, and this place was roaring. So he was tired. I was able to crawl down that hallway, and I touched his body, and I was able to grab that. That was one of the biggest rushes for me, I think, the fire department.
Are you the best racquetball player in Rochester?
Nah, not even the least. I would say I'm probably one of the good guys, but I would say the best.
Close, huh? What was the minor league experience like? You alluded to a little bit of that. Appalachian League was a little bit worse than the International League, right?
Oh, way worse. I can tell you that the minor leagues is really no joke. That separates the men from the boys. If you really want to make it to the big leagues and you can't get through that grind, you're done. And I can tell you right now, they don't care. Their job is to develop you. Your job is to prove that you can play. And if you don't, they send you home. But it's tough. The minor leagues are tough. I mean, in my days, 1983, like I tell you, $8 a day, that's all I had to eat. And you wait for a sandwich at the end of the dinner, at the end of the game, there wasn't much of a spread there. Sloppy Joe or something they gave you, And that's just the way it was. But the traveling was ridiculous. Sometimes 16, 17-hour bus rides. I remember the bus breaking down one day at 4 o'clock in the morning. We played a night game. The bus breaks down. We're on the side of the highway, get another bus from whoever. We went from there right to the ballpark to play the game. We had never even slept. So that's just part of it.
When you had mentioned about $1,000 signing bonus, what were you getting paid like every 2 weeks or a month? Do you remember like what your payment when you
I think
started
I was
out?
getting $500 a month. I think it was $500 a month. I think it was.
And you guys would room together, like you could find a house and get 40?
5 guys in
five
the room,
guys.
because we had to pay the rent and split that up. I mean, and then I was always taking care of the Latin players because they couldn't speak any English, like the kids from Dominican Republic or Puerto Rico. I could speak to both languages, so I would take them in and help them out, teach them, share everything.
Do you watch Chicago Fire?
No.
No. What do you, just following up on it, what do you think about in movies or on television when you see firefighters?
Chicago Fire has some things that are pretty true. The stuff that happens at the firehouse, the breaking chops, let me say it properly. The breaking chops at the firehouse, that is definitely true. The probie does get abused. But we've all been through that. Everybody's been hazed in the fire. I was too. As a 34-year-old man, I had to get my hazing. I was the new guy. But a lot of the other stuff about the way those fires are and they're taking their masks, that doesn't happen.
How did you prevent sign stealing? You told us about stealing signs. You saw Cal giving things away. Like, how did you prevent it? Like, especially with a guy on second base.
Yeah, I would change. We would use either the outs. The signals are 1's usually a fastball, 2's a curveball, 3's a slider, wiggle's a changeup. But what we did was, and most hitters that are not, obviously they're not catchers, so they just see the finger, they think that that's what it is. But we would use a 1 as a curveball, and 2 was a fastball, and 3 was a fastball. So the 2 was fastball glove side, and 3 was fastball the opposite side of the glove. So if you had a left-handed hit, I put on a 3, he thinks it's a breaking ball, it's a fastball inside. So that's how we changed them up, and then we would use the outs as well, go with the first sign or the third sign. Because you got to change them up all the time. Those guys are watching.
Wow. Any stories of retaliation for sign stealing? Like, I mean,
Yes.
Is there an unwritten law
We got
in
a
baseball?
brawl with the Milwaukee Brewers.
Really?
Yeah, Paul Mahler, Jim Gantner, Rob Deere. it all started with the pitches and guys stealing signs, and we had they had Drew Hall pitching, and he drills Tartable. So we drill Molitor. Then when they hit Bo, it was all over. And we all just started fighting out there.
Do you think the Astros 2017 World Series win should be vacated?
No,
Okay. Why not?
because I feel that all the players weren't involved. There were certain players involved with the cheating thing going on. Like the pitchers, they're not hitting, so why should they be penalized for something that they didn't even do? And I can tell you right now, not every guy on that team was mic'd up. If you notice, it was always the stud hitters that were pretty much doing most of the damage. Springer, Altuve, Correa, Beltran. Now I heard Altuve's supposed to be getting suspended, so if that happens, I have a feeling there's going to be some more suspensions on that team.
Do you think, like, guys who aren't suspended but who did steal signs, do you think there's going to be some policing going on among players?
Yeah,
Guys getting
yeah.
brushed back? And,
Yeah, they're going to have to be doing something because, I mean, like you said, we steal signs by watching and stuff like that, but to go to this extent where you're miking guys and, you know, you touch a signal, if it's a one tap and it comes in a mic, or vibrate one time, it's a fastball, you know. So, yeah, it's got to change.
Do you think MLB should implement policies that speed up the game? For example, put a man on second in the 10th inning, pitch clock, etc. Would you like to see anything?
No, I just think it takes away from the game.
Amen.
It just takes away from the game. But the strategy of the game is you got 27 outs. If the game goes in extra innings, now you really have to use a lot of strategy because now you've got less players and you have to do the best job you can with what you have left. And when you start a guy on second base with no outs and they bunt him over, and then the guy gets a little fly ball, drives him in. I mean, to me, that's not even that's street ball. You know, I just don't like it.
What about speeding up the game? Right? Like here, you know, there's been experimentation with the pitch clock and stuff like that. And back when you played, the pace of the game was so much quicker than it is now. You know, what would you do to speed it up? Because they just go on forever and ever now.
Well, one thing I would do to speed up the game is the batter cannot step out of that box more than 2 times. Because every pitch the guy gets out, he's got to fix his gloves, he's got to do this. No, you get 2 times to come out. After that, you're automatically out. Unless you get hit with a foul ball off your foot, you got to give him a chance to, you know, to get sprayed on or whatever. But I think you should have 2 times to come out of the box, and after that, you should be hitting. Especially with nobody on base, because you don't need to worry about no signs.
Right. Why do you think we've gotten to that? Is it a television, Sports Center? I want to be on, more camera time?
No, that's just the players, you know, they always want to be comfortable, you know, because I know when I used to hit, my gloves would move and stuff, so you want to arrange them. But it's just too excessive right now. I mean, it's ridiculous. It is.
Yeah, I agree. Do you have an opinion on whether teams should change logos / mascots that could be deemed offensive? For example, Atlanta Braves, Cleveland Indians, Kansas City Chiefs, Washington Redskins.
No, I think they should keep their logos. They've been around forever. I know it in a new society now of political correctness, which I think is a joke. But I just think that everything should stay the same. I feel we're not insulting anybody. We're just using certain mascots that's been around for years.
All right, well, you survived all the questions here, Ray. You did a great job. No, we appreciate it very much. Thank you. I should also point out that, you know, Ray is actually working this evening, and he was kind enough to get permission. He didn't just go rogue here. He got permission from this chief tonight to be able to do this. So we're very, very appreciative that people are covering for you and that you were able to do this and spend some time with us. So
Yes.
thanks so much for sacrificing. And before you go, we got a couple of little gifts here.
Cool.
You are we'd like to present you with a lifetime membership to our group here.
Oh,
So,
cool.
I don't know what that gets you. but
I'm in.
you're in. You're in a pretty good club too. Like we've got 2 members here. Gary Larder and Naomi Silver are here tonight as well. But
Thank you.
just as a token of our appreciation, you're a lifetime member now. So, I guess Joe wants to get a
All
photo.
right, guys. 1, 2, and 3. All right. Well,
That's
thank you.
who's got film in that camera. People here would know, right? Thank you. And we also have one little thing, and we should have mentioned this before, we do have these shirts on sale over there, but we have an old style, every year we try to come up with a different team to celebrate. So this is the Rochester Tribe Baseball Club, 1921 they began, and they actually were the team that preceded the Rochester Red Wings, or it became the Red Wings in 1928, but
Wow. Thank you
we'd
very
like
much.
to give you that shirt as well, and you can wear it with pride at the firehouse,
Yeah,
right?
I'm wearing it today.
All right, thank you so much, and we really appreciate it. We have 50/50 drawing, I guess, and we also have I guess we're done with the